Hi, Hillary Raven Porter here, a multidimensional healer and a Tamiana Starseed Oracle. I'm at one of my favorite places today. This is just outside of Victoria here on the way to the ocean, and we're harvesting some Nootka roses for some medicine, which is perfect because yesterday was the solstice. I always kind of think of the 21st as the solstice for some reason. The 21st always sticks in my head. It's also eclipse season. So I wanted to chat a little bit about eclipses. And it's also Father's Day. So happy Father's Day. But more importantly, happy parenting day, happy adulting day, happy taking care of children day. Yeah, it's really important that they have these good role models in their life and people to take care of them and love them. Okay, where do we start? Let's start with the solstice. So solstice, yay! Return of the light, right? Pagan ceremonies, celebrating the return of the light. But something else, you have to think about the light. You don't have to, but you can think of the light, right? If we have the light, let's say on my hand, it's going to cast a crazy long shadow. Right? So when the light returns, it's not all just about love and light, which doing the work isn't all just about love and light. But even, so we talk about in the winter, so winter solstice is when we go inward. It's when we really, really are transforming within the cocoon to be reborn in the spring. And then we come across summer solstice. So we have this light creating this long shadow. So the shadow work is also happening here, right? It's just different. It's a different type of work. It's more of an outward work, whereas winter solstice is more of the inward. But the shadows are long, and the shadows are really, really long this year, from everything that is happening within our world to also the fact that we're in the middle of eclipse season. So we had a penumbral on the 5th of June. It was a lunar penumbral. We are currently today in a solar penumbral, not a solar penumbral, a solar full eclipse. And then on the 5th of July, we have another lunar penumbral. So a penumbral means that it's not a full eclipse, right? And during eclipses, we have a lot of stuff coming through. We have a lot of energies coming through. It's a portal for entities to come through. It's entities from the rebirth of souls to the star beings that come down and offer us guidance. So there's both of those, or all of those things that happen. It is also a time when we clear a lot of our stuff. It's a time when we look at those things where communications might be more challenged, where our own shit comes up majorly. There could be more anxiety, a sense more of depression, of pulling inward and really doing the work, or feeling a little bit more altered, a little bit crazy in the head, and you're like, what is going on? This is not my norm. But then when you look at it, you're like, oh wait, this reminds me of this pattern that I learned when I was a child or as an adult, or this is the trauma coming back that I chose not to deal with at the time for whatever reason that is. It's the time when those little pieces, I always say it's like going down into the baby toe where we stuff all the things that were really like, nope. It's like when we were kids and we'd shove everything under our beds into the farthest recesses and be like, no, my parents will never find it. What ends up happening is it comes out to the light eventually, and it affects us the whole time, right? As the kid, we're like, oh, but what if they find it? And it kind of sits in the back of our head. And it's there, and vibrationally it does affect every cell that it's touching. It vibrates into that cell, and then that cell will vibrate into the next one, which then fills our whole body. So there's this residual from that shadow space, right? So eclipses are great for that coming up. We're also in Mercury retrograde. So communication, right? Communications can be a bit stifled, differences of opinion. So there's the full eclipse, and then there's the penumbrals, which I touched on there. The penumbrals are strong. Do not consider the penumbrals weak. I actually consider the penumbrals way stronger, for good reason. Think of when a couple of water examples, water energy, right? They flow together. But think about when you have your garden hose, right? You increase the velocity and the power, the pressure of the water if you put your thumb partly over, and then you create that spray. So things come out, they're kind of shooting really fast. So yes, some things are backed up, but it doesn't just come through and you're like, oh, okay, right? You think you have the hose and it's normal, and you're just kind of like, the water's just coming out, and you're like, well, I'm just making a puddle at my feet, but I really want to spray those plants over there. And so when you put your thumb over it, it just goes whoosh, right? The velocity, the speed at which it comes through. Same with the eclipses. When it's a penumbral and it's a partial, the energy is coming through, the soul's coming through, they come through fast. So we're not able to integrate as easily. It's just like here. And same thing with the work, the shadow work. It's like here, you are going to look at this and you have no choice. And you're not like, oh, I kind of felt like that for a couple of days. You're like, what is going on with me today? So we had that. We're going to be having that at the beginning and the end. You can also think of it as if like you're floating down the river and you're in this wide river and it's expansive and you're like, oh, it's kind of calm. It's awesome. And then all of a sudden the riverbed's narrow. And there's more pressure as the water is being pushed through there. And then there's the tumultuousness and there might be rapids and it gets all crazy. And then at the other side, you're like, oh. But we're kind of going the opposite because we're doing that at the beginning, right? And we're doing that at the end. June 5th, July 5th. And then in the middle, we have this opening happening today. So things are coming through, but it's a little bit more, feels very heavy in the sense of just like, okay, stuff's coming. It feels like fudge or molasses. Dense, but coming through and you're able to see it coming through. And you're just like, okay, here it comes, right? We're also in Cancer, so it's a new moon in Cancer right now. Cancer is all about the home and about communication and emotional communication. Let's get clear on that. And connecting in that way. So really seeing how those shadow pieces in relation to that are coming up today. Yeah, I think that's it. Remembering to be gentle with yourself. Do the work, because when we push it aside, right? Comes back full force. It's like, really? You thought I was gone? I'm still here. So yeah, so I'm wishing you happy solstice. I'm wishing you happy eclipse season. One that's filled with some ease and some space. It's okay to set your boundaries. It's okay to say, you know what, this is what I can handle right now. This is how much I want to be interacting with people in whatever capacity that is. This is how much I don't want to be. This is how much I don't want to be on my computer, how much I do want to be on my computer. It's okay. Right? I highly suggest some dips in the ocean. The salt is cleansing, as is the ocean herself, Yamaya. She's there to carry away all and transmute all that is happening for you right now. Let alone the fact that cold water swimming helps with your immune system and helps you integrate all that is, right? So boosts your immune system and also helps settle. There's this thing when you get in the water and you're like, I don't want to. Trust me, dude, I'll never get it. I'm like, no, I don't want to. It's cold. But then the second I get in, I'm like, oh. And then everything settles. I'm like, this is good. You come out and you're like, I feel reset. It's totally like a switch. Okay. So much love and stardust to you. I'm off to continue harvesting some flowers. If you have any questions, I am here. Okay.